There's two exceptions, Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts, and they will meet this weekend in the Bizarro Bowl. Both have been massively elevated. This is how they've made the playoffs. Not because they're elite talents. They've been elevated by other forces. Take Brock Purdy. He lands Kyle Shanahan, who made Matt Schaub a Pro Bowler, Matt Ryan the MVP, and got Jimmy Garoppolo to the Super Bowl. Mac Jones' career was over. He started this year for San Francisco. He had a 97 passer rating, completed 70% of his throws, 5-3. He's not doing that anywhere else in the league, including with McVay. Kyle Shanahan is the quarterback whisperer. Brock Purdy had 33 picks in college. That's why he dipped. He was totally reckless. And yet today, he has the highest passer rating in NFL history, higher than Tom Brady. It's Shanahan. Doesn't mean he doesn't have talent, but it's not just the quarterback in this league. You can, if you get a Kyle Shanahan, who has the best play sheet in the league, be elevated significantly. Take Jalen Hurts. He got benched in college. Greg Cosell, who looks at film on the show with Tom Brady tomorrow, acknowledges he can't see over the middle of the field all the time. He's 5'10-ish. The Eagles actually win more the fewer times Jalen Hurts throws. But he's got the best GM in the league. So Brock Purdy's got the best choreographed offense in the league to elevate him. Doesn't mean he doesn't have talent. And Hurts has the best trade manipulator and draft picker, arguably, in the NFL. But let's not kid ourselves. 12 of the 14 teams in the league have a first-round quarterback.
Right. Eagles supporters and 49ers supporters, I need us all to step up for this video right now. I need everyone. I almost always prefer to keep things very distinct. I create a 49ers video. I create an Eagles video. I create a Bills video. That's simply what works for me. But this situation here, I'm telling you, this is where Jalen Hurts supporters and Brock Purdy supporters and 49ers fans and Eagles fans, you all need to unite. I understand you're competing against each other this weekend, I get it, and you won't be fond of each other this weekend. I understand, but this is just ridiculous. First, let's begin with the 49ers fans. Did Jimmy Garoppolo and Mac Jones perform as excellently as Brock Purdy and have the highest passer rating ever? No, they did not. Okay. Drake May was a first-round selection. How did he appear without Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels? How has Trevor Lawrence performed this year when he had Liam Cohen compared to previous years? Aaron Rodgers has played for many years, but when he hasn't had a sufficiently good team around him, how has he performed? And again, it's difficult because so much of that now is due to his age, but CJ Stroud, has he reached a Super Bowl? Josh Allen is absolutely incredible. What is currently holding him back? Is it his team? Is it the coaching? It is. Justin Herbert, what has held him back? Did things appear much better once Jim Harbaugh arrived or when he had Shane Steichen? Yes. Sam Darnold, slinging Sammy D, a quarterback I believe is fantastic and I admire his journey. What was he accomplishing in Carolina and New York? Nothing. Understood. Caleb Williams. How much have the Chicago Bears transformed from last year to this year? Oh, last year they were awful and couldn't reach the playoffs. This year they are the 2 seed and contending for the 1 seed. What changed? Ben Johnson and an offensive line and talent around him. Okay, understood, understood. Bryce Young, what is he doing? Matthew Stafford, come on. Look, everyone, I'm going to state this clearly right now. Please inform me of all the playoff games Matthew Stafford won in Detroit without Sean McVay. I'll wait. Go ahead. Tell me. Tell me. I'm waiting. Tell me the incredible playoff moments Matthew Stafford had in Detroit. Oh, is it because the team and the roster are important? Is it because the coaching is important? Oh, okay. Understood. Understood. We're attempting to behave as if Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts are this unique category of quarterbacks who are only elevated and in their position because of the team and coaching staff surrounding them. And if not for that, they would be insignificant. And that's why it's the Bizarro Bowl. Huh? What? I mean, are you aware how irrational that is? You also know Jalen Hurts reached the playoffs in 2021 with a poor team and a poor defense and a poor play caller until finally Nick Sirianni relinquished it to Shane Steichen. You also recognize in 2023 Jalen Hurts had poor coaching and had a terrible defense. the worst defense in the NFL, and still led his team to the playoffs. You know he deserves some recognition for that, correct? You are aware of that, right? You know that. You also know that Colin himself has stated that Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore are bad coaches, and yet here is Jalen Hurts, ranking in the top 10 in nearly every quarterback statistic. You comprehend that Jalen Hurts truly does deserve some credit for that, right? You understand that? Would Sam Darnold appear as effective if Jackson Smith and Jigba weren't there and without Clint Kubiak? Multiple things can be accurate. Coaching improves players, and players also contribute to that improvement process. It's so irrational to criticize these quarterbacks. Also, now we're just diminishing Jalen Hurts. Now suddenly Jalen Hurts is like 5'7". He's part of the Lollipop Guild over there. That's news to me. I had no idea. Pretty impressive that he can break all these Super Bowl records and defeat the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, the one team that every other team, the Bills, with Josh Allen, a top pick, Lamar Jackson, a top pick, simply could not do. You know, it's reasonable to say that Jalen Hurts has performed better against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, certainly in the playoffs, than any of the other prominent quarterbacks. In multiple Super Bowls, he did it. Multiple Super Bowls, aside from maybe Josh Allen's 13-second game, because that game was crazy. Like, what are we doing, everyone? Seriously, what are we doing? I mean, Brock Purdy has won multiple NFC championship games, appeared in a Super Bowl, performed very well in that Super Bowl against an elite defense. Jalen Hurts, multiple Super Bowls, Super Bowl MVP, multiple Super Bowl records broken. And we don't want to give these quarterbacks the credit they deserve, the credit they have earned. And you know what's really amusing? Because this is where I state multiple things can be true, but I'm not so certain we can have it both ways in this specific example I'm about to provide. He mentioned Greg Kossel, who studies film all day. He is not the greatest admirer of Jalen Hurts. You know, it's funny though, because he is a big admirer of Brock Purdy and believes what Brock Purdy does is quite great and quite impressive. So, like, what does that imply? I don't know. Greg Cosell has also discussed that Jalen Hurts deserves a tremendous amount of credit for his Super Bowl performances and why the Philadelphia Eagles won, and was very quick to state the Kansas City Chiefs did not stack the box. They did not sell out to stop the run, making things easy for Jalen Hurts. That Jalen Hurts made significant throws and significant plays with his legs that were devastating and backbreaking for that Kansas City Chiefs defense. That is what Greg Cosell said. That is what Greg Cosell said. And I admire Greg Cosell. I love that Colin features him frequently because I believe Greg Cosell is excellent. Because he is unbiased. He is not here for narratives. He is simply like, I'm just telling you what the tape shows. And throughout this year, he has blamed the offensive line especially for the Philadelphia Eagles' struggles. Not necessarily Jalen Hurts and the play calling. Just stating, I'm merely stating. And he has talked about Greg Cosell, that for all quarterbacks, this is what Greg Cosell expressed. This is what Greg Cosell expressed. Most passing games, when you observe a passing game that is effective, it's a combination of the concepts and the quarterback executing the concepts. We tend to perceive, oh, the quarterback performed excellently if he completes passes. But frequently, those passes are completed because the concepts provide clear, defined throws that theoretically almost any NFL quarterback could make. So, there are always some plays where you think, wow, that's an exceptional throw. No matter who it is, whether it's the players we consider great, the Mahomes, the Allens, the Burrows, but there are many instances where it's defined for the quarterback, and practically any NFL quarterback can make those throws. So it's always a combination of the passing game concepts and the quarterback. Yet we only want to discuss it when Purdy benefits from that, from Shanahan. And again, Shanahan is amazing at it, and Shanahan deserves a tremendous amount of credit. First, the coordinators that Jalen Hurts has had to manage. No one is mentioning that. We can state that about Shanahan. And listen, both these quarterbacks are in exceptional situations because they both joined outstanding franchises, very well operated franchises, excellent roster constructions. Like, Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts have unquestionably benefited from their environments. Unquestionably. I firmly believe many quarterbacks would experience a tremendous amount of success if they went to the 49ers or the Philadelphia Eagles. No doubt about it. That does not then imply that Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy don't deserve credit, praise, their due recognition, etc. He simply cannot. And if it were all Shanahan, then why did Shanahan desire Brock Purdy so intensely? Why did he say, I want Brock Purdy, I want Brock Purdy? Why didn't Trey Lance succeed? I don't know. Why is Brock Purdy performing better than Mac Jones, who is also taller than him? I'm just saying. Shanahan will enhance any quarterback, just like Andy Reid, McVay, etc. Yes, certainly. I believe Josh Allen would be a better quarterback with the San Francisco 49ers, and having Kyle Shanahan as his coach, I believe that deeply. That should not be utilized as a method to downplay who Brock Purdy is as a quarterback. And this is where I can now hear the Chiefs fans, specifically the Mahomes fans, in my ear. Because they'll say, well, you always want to diminish Mahomes and claim it's always Andy. And it's like, first, that's not what I express. That's what you claim I express. Just because you state that I said, it doesn't mean I actually said it. Do you follow that? That's called, you all are simply fabricating things. Literally a straw man. I've always stated that Mahomes has benefited from having Andy Reid as his coach, in a manner that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, etc., have not had the advantage of experiencing. That is an absolutely true statement to make and an extension of what Greg Cosell is discussing regarding these concepts and such. And so, yes, I believe it's reasonable to state that we observe Shanahan and that offense and Mahomes and his offense, and we can somewhat compare and say, yeah, based on all this information, it's somewhat easier and more straightforward to conclude Mahomes is superior to Brock Purdy. I don't believe that's controversial. Sorry, fans, if that bothers you, but I do think Mahomes is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. Okay, I believe that's fair. And they both have exceptional coaches who elevate them. But ultimately, I'm like, it's somewhat clearer for me to perceive that, but when I don't observe a quarterback receiving that high-level benefit like a Josh Allen or someone, yes, I see Josh Allen accomplishing much more of the heavy lifting than a Mahomes in that aspect. And that's where it becomes intriguing with the Jalen Hurts side of the argument, because Jalen Hurts is somewhat different as well, since he's had some great rosters, but his play calling, he has had a new coach every single year, a new offensive play caller every single year. So on one hand, we could discuss Greg Cosell talking about how crucial the coaching is in the passing game, and yet Jalen Hurts has a new coordinator, new play caller every single year. And then we're surprised the passing game can appear inconsistent at times, and it's like, why do we believe that is? And then the entire other issue about the Eagles being more successful when they request Jalen Hurts to pass less, that drives me crazy, because that is not an objectively true statement for every single team. And it's strange that we don't maintain the same perspective when discussing Drake May. This is regarding Drake May. I watched his throwing today. Vrabel is such an excellent coach. They don't ask him to pass 40 times. It's like 18 and 24. So it's acceptable that Vrabel is such a great coach and they ask Drake May to pass less and they win more. But it's not acceptable to do that with Jalen Hurts. I suppose it doesn't really make much sense. It doesn't really make much sense. Drake May now literally has Tom Brady's offensive coordinator. I mean, goodness. I admire Drake May. I think Drake May is amazing and special and elite. That's what makes this conversation so captivating to me. I mean, consider even Jalen Hurts. And now, this is where, don't become too immersed in the details, Purdy fans and Hurts fans. Okay? Let's not become too immersed. But like, Purdy had a great team with the 49ers, great coaching, all that good stuff. Jalen Hurts had a great team, good coaching, I'd say. I believe it's reasonable to state Shanahan is a superior coach to Kellen Moore from a coordinating perspective. Or even a Shane Steichen, which, I don't know. We'll observe how that is. And Jalen Hurts elevated so much that he broke multiple Super Bowl records in a manner Jimmy Garoppolo did not. Brock Purdy did not. Jalen Hurts must receive credit for that. He must receive some additional respect for that. He is owed recognition for that, okay? It simply must be. It simply must be. What did Harbaugh request from Justin Herbert last year? To pass less. He did. Did they win more? They did. When the Buffalo Bills dismissed their coordinator and elevated Joe Brady to coordinator, they specifically asked Josh Allen to pass the ball less. and they won more. So again, we can continue going in circles as much as we desire here. I mean, what does the renowned Ben Johnson want? He wants to run the ball. They possess an elite top rushing offense in the NFL. That is what they do with the #1 overall pick, Caleb Williams. I mean, Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen have a difference of 6 pass attempts. 6 pass attempts. Sam Darnold, who played an additional game, has 477. Jalen Hurts is at 454. If Jalen Hurts played another game, he would be right there. He is now with the same pass attempts as Sam Darnold. I mean, if we examine Matthew Stafford's pass attempts from last year compared to this year, because this was a season where last year Matthew Stafford played 16 games and Jalen Hurts this year played 16 games. So, it's an equal 16-16 game comparison. Matthew Stafford averaged 3.9 more throws per game than Jalen Hurts did this year. That would be a difference of 3.9 throws per game. That's it. So, we'll just call it an even 4. So if Jalen Hurts had 4 more pass attempts per game, he would have accomplished exactly what Matthew Stafford did. The renowned passer himself, Sean McVay. So we're discussing a difference of 4 pass attempts per game. Do you perceive that? It doesn't really make sense. And it was during year 2, with a brand new first-time play caller in Kevin Patullo, with an offensive line that has not been good and a run game that has not been good. It has been one of the worst in the NFL. Second most negative plays from a rushing attack. And yet the difference would have been a few more extra passes. And what I find amusing is that Matthew Stafford had 70 passes behind the line of scrimmage this season, whereas Jalen Hurts had only 52. Those are very simple passes. Those passes are arranged and designed by the play caller. As Greg Cosell discussed, those plays are defined such that any quarterback can execute them. So it is specifically how the offensive coach intends to operate that offense. So that's now a difference of 20 plays, 20 throws right there, and a difference of screen passes of 12. So literally, essentially half the difference in pass attempts, those 4 pass attempts per game I mentioned, about half of those extra pass attempts would be behind the line of scrimmage and screen passes. So then you're merely discussing 2 extra throws per game where the quarterback will now be more tasked with progressing through his reads, whatever it is, however you're operating the offense in that given moment. That's the difference, though. That's the margin we're working with between simply stating we ask this quarterback to pass frequently versus we don't. Do you see how that doesn't really make much sense? Especially when we want to factor all these elements in. You want to observe how a conversation surrounding Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts, for that matter, we're having this conversation, and we want to discuss how Justin Herbert requires a better coach, a better roster, how Sam Darnold's career has been misrepresented because of him going to New York and Carolina, the massive difference for Caleb Williams this year compared to last year, Matthew Stafford reaching the playoffs 3 times in his entire tenure. I believe he played with Detroit for about 12 years, and he made the playoffs 3 times and lost all 3 times. And then his first year with Sean McVay and the Los Angeles Rams, he won the Super Bowl. But yet we want to emphasize that only Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts are elevated by the structure around them, whether coaching, roster, management, general manager, owner, whatever. That is my primary issue with the conversations at hand. Not that these quarterbacks don't benefit from them, but the manner in which the narrative is constructed and emphasized specifically for these 2 quarterbacks. It's quite remarkable. Quite remarkable. I mean, you could mention Trevor Lawrence, the #1 overall pick, and you could say, has he reached a Super Bowl? And you're like, well, that's not fair. What about his coach? What about his roster? And it's like, yeah. Well, so you're stating that coaching and roster matter even for a #1 overall pick? Well, yeah. Okay. So then why are we highlighting it only for Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts? What's the reason? I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, it is. What's the answer? Why did Matthew Stafford not win a Super Bowl in Detroit? It's Detroit. Yeah. Okay. Why did he win in Los Angeles? Didn't Sean McVay lead Jared Goff to the Super Bowl? Has he returned to the Super Bowl since leaving Sean McVay? No. Okay. So, Sean McVay has coached 2 quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks reached the Super Bowl, and both quarterbacks, when they were not with Sean McVay, did not reach a Super Bowl. Does that imply it's all Sean McVay? That's the logic we must follow. Shanahan led Jimmy Garoppolo to a Super Bowl. Yeah, but Jimmy Garoppolo also never truly had success. Didn't he have success with the New England Patriots? I mean, he performed so well that the 49ers desired him that season before he was traded. He had a 68.3% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a 113.3 passer rating, and an 87.5 QBR. I mean, reportedly he was traded because Tom Brady felt threatened by him, that Tom Brady wanted him out of the building. So, yeah. Hopefully, Philadelphia Eagles fans and San Francisco 49ers fans, Brock Purdy fans, Jalen Hurts fans can interact politely in the comments section. I encourage you all to do so. I believe you all are on the same side in this conversation. You're not mortal enemies, no need for it. You're going to be adversaries, as I conclude, you're going to be adversaries on Sunday. I understand. Bring all the intensity, all the animosity, all the fervor, all the explanations why one team wins and the other loses, why one quarterback wins and the other loses. I understand. It's all good. But in this specific conversation, this is like the meme of Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're like, this one, I mean, that's what this is. It actually fits for many other reasons. Like even Arnold wearing a reddish 49ers color. I just needed to make the Eagles green, although obviously they have multiple colors as well. But yeah, everyone, that's it. I can't do it. Eagles, 49ers, Hurts, Purdy. It is what it is. Let me see. Let me see what you all have to express in the comments below. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's engage in some discussions, let's engage in some debates. But ultimately, let's simply have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely would love to see you as part of it. I want to build something we all genuinely feel connected to, something we're truly excited to be part of. I believe we're well on our way to achieving it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely assists with visibility in the algorithm. Thank you very much. See you next time.